And welcome back to the Engage 8 podcast. Here with Nevan and Logan as usual. Fellas, say what's up.
What's going on?
What up?
Not much. Just going to be discussing some of the Sweet 16 matchups happening. We'll start off with Alabama, San Diego State. San Diego State, honestly, been a really impressive team to me this tournament. Did not think they would come out and play well in both their games. Obviously, we're a little bit more offensively, showed what they're offensively capable of. And then Alabama obviously just rolled in their first two games. Who do you fellas got in this game?
Go ahead, Nev.
Say again, which game was it?
Alabama, San Diego State.
I got Bama by a lot. I hadn't really watched much of Alabama yet this year, but I don't remember who they were playing. They were playing somebody. It was like a late game, and
Yeah, Maryland.
I watched it. Yep, that's who it was. They were playing Maryland, and I watched most of it. And that Miller dude, Brandon Miller, I think his name,
Brandon
right?
Miller.
He's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, which Wembanyama's overseas at France, and then Scoot's in the G League Ignite. Brandon Miller is the best prospect out of college basketball in this upcoming NBA draft. But, I mean, they got other guys on that team like Javon Quinterly and stuff when he decides to play. Bern, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Bama too. I think San Diego State's defense is really good enough to keep them in this. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. San Diego State will definitely throw their punches, but I just don't think the offensive firepower is going to be enough to get past Alabama. I think Alabama is definitely going to outscore them. 96 and 73 in their 2 points, but I mean against Maryland, it was a blowout. They could get their starters out pretty quick. So San Diego State's look really good, but I don't see them getting past Bama.
Yeah, I think San Diego State, they're not going to play as efficiently as they did against Furman again, and Furman really wasn't that great of a defensive team. They were okay from what they showed, and I mean, obviously they couldn't shoot because San Diego State's going to put that defensive pressure on you and force teams to struggle. And so, yeah, I got Alabama in this game. I think they're the most complete team in the country, arguably. You could say Houston, but yeah, I think Bama is probably, if you were to bet on who's going to win the national championship right now, a lot of people would put their money on Bama.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this this other matchup with a very, very big surprise at 15. We got Creighton versus Princeton. This one's weird. I don't know. Because Princeton, they've been more physical than both the teams they've played. And both the teams they've played have been pretty good throughout the regular season. And obviously in their Missouri, and even in their first tournament game, looked really solid. I did not expect Princeton to beat them by 15, but they've just been out rebounding everyone. They've just been scoring they scored pretty well against Missouri too. So it's really tough, but Creighton's also looked really solid, especially against Baylor. Baylor has been not great defensively with their efficiency, and I mean, watching that game, the guards for Baylor are awesome, but they just don't defend as a team. So I don't know who I want to take. But
I had Creighton originally. I think I had them over Arizona. I did. So I originally had Creighton in my Elite Eight. I'm gonna stick with that pick. Nice little run here for Princeton. I just don't see him getting past Creighton. Creighton's just, I think, better personally than both teams that they played so far. Kalkbrenner on the inside makes it really tough for Princeton to play that kind of physical style. And then obviously Ryan Nembhard's been sensational. I mean, his draft stock's gonna go through the roof. And
he's brothers with Andrew Nembhard, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So Ryan Nembhard and Trey Alexander, guy that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah.
I think enough. He's a true takeover scorer, and you see a lot of times of Nembhard struggling. Maybe they can't get into Kalkbrenner. Alexander will just take over, and I think that's going to kind of happen against Princeton. I think those three are just going to be too much for the Princeton defense to be able to stop.
Yeah, I mean, he was the second punch man in that Baylor game too for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously Ryan Nembhard dropping 30 points, that obviously helps. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I heard something where the second weekend normally the best teams come out of that. So in Princeton,
Yeah,
I don't think it's fluky what they did. I think that Arizona game they had a little bit, but I think Missouri they just plain out beat them. So
that's kind of what I was about to when I was gonna get the turn to talk. That's what I was gonna say. Is usually these high 15, 16, these seeds can like win a couple games in the first weekend or whatever, make the second weekend. But after you have like a week break, the momentum dies down a little bit, or can die down a little bit, and sometimes like the run you had going in the first weekend, or your shots aren't hitting like they were. I mean, when you play back to back days or whatever, I mean, you can get hot and stay hot, but like when you got 8 days in between your games or 4 days, or whatever, like sometimes the momentum can die off, or you lose your shot or whatever.
I
And
mean, they haven't played, and I believe they played. Did they play on Saturday or Sunday when they played Missouri? I think it was Saturday. I think it was that Saturday, if I'm not
It was
mistaken.
the I believe it was the Saturday.
it was March 13th.
And they play this Friday,
Yeah,
so
Saturday.
that's going to be a 6-day preparation for both. Well, I think 5 days for Creighton, 6 days
5
for
for
Prince.
Creighton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, when you get a chance to really like dissect film and like practice through like things that they run, watch out for guys, like read scouting reports and stuff, it's going to be a lot harder for Princeton than Princeton only having one, or a team having to prepare for Princeton one day after they just played a full 40 minutes. So,
Yeah, and I think to your point too, Princeton's been super physical, and that's kind of how they've won these games. I mean, they out-rebounded Missouri by 14, but Missouri's a team that plays absolutely no defense. So
right, and they just kind of rely on guys to just score and get their way.
Absolutely, and I think Creighton's got better scorers, I think, to match Princeton, and having Kalkbrenner inside with a 70% field goal percentage too is just a really good safety net, and obviously a guy that's going to grab a lot of rebounds. Creighton's a physical team, and I actually think Creighton is an underrated pick for
Final
a chance
Four.
to win the national title.
Yeah,
Even Final Four.
They
can really push Bama.
Yeah,
I think if assuming both of them win.
I mean, honestly,
wouldn't be surprised if either did.
Until the national championship, they probably have the best chance to beat Bama, in my opinion. But
I would say so.
Crazy, dude. And Nate Oates is a good coach. I'm telling you, because I hadn't watched him up until that last against Maryland. And that Brandon Miller, dude.
I haven't seen too much on Bama other than their obviously Brandon Miller stuff. Like, I wasn't really paying attention to SEC basketball.
All right, fellas, we got to keep this going. I got a big game in the East Division that I want to talk about.
All right, well, let's just move on to the East Division then. We got FAU versus Tennessee.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm really hyped about this.
No,
I've been hyped since you sent out that we were talking today. So.
Oh, I'm ready to argue right back at you. So let's go.
You don't even know what I'm going to talk about.
All right, first, before I know what's coming, let's talk about FAU versus Tennessee. John L. Davis dropped 29 points in the last game against Fairleigh Dickinson. Fairleigh Dickinson gave him a run for their money, obviously beating Purdue in that round of 64 game, which is just absolutely embarrassed. How do you lose to 3 double-digit seeds in 3 straight seasons? But, I mean, I really liked Fairleigh Dickinson.
Because Tobin Anderson is a motherfucking god.
Yeah, he's about to go fill Rick Pitino's spot at Iona, so that's great for him. Who was that? Who was that coach that just got signed at Notre Dame?
It was
Penn
Strawberry,
State coach.
or whatever the dude's name is. Strewberry, whatever.
Yeah, and then
Micah Shrewsbury.
Pitino went to fucking St. John's, and then Ed Cooley went to Georgetown.
Ed Cooley just went to Georgetown.
You know what that means? That Pitino went to St. John's. That means St. John's gonna get creamed on for every single year by the analysts.
Yep.
They're gonna be that sleeper team that gets killed by 25
every
points.
Single year. Yeah, they're the sleeper team that come out of their.
Yeah, for some reason it's always Iona could make a big run this year. No, it's because you guys love Rick Pitino.
I don't know. I wish we got to see FAU against Purdue. I think it would have been a way better test for them just because FAU's not a really big team, and Fairleigh Dickinson, I mean, I've watched them play live. They're the smallest team in the whole 365 teams in college basketball. So, I mean, that Memphis game was really good between the two teams. I liked seeing that. I thought Memphis was going to be able to pull away in that one, but obviously not happening. But they play against a really physical and gritty team in Tennessee, and I think this is going to be a game where they get pushed around in a lot. And even without Sagai Ziegler, this Tennessee team's still pretty awesome. So,
yeah, I'm going to start by going back 2 games. First of all, FAU shouldn't even be here. That call, I don't know. I'm assuming you both saw it.
Yeah, I watched that game.
Memphis had it, got the timeout off. The refs just didn't call it, and then it ended up being the timeout.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like the FAU got it?
Yeah. So honestly, Memphis probably should have walked out of that game. Whatever, they didn't. FAU played them close. And then FAU, in my opinion, really did not look good against FDU. For a little bit of that.
They just played FDU, and FDU was riding off a high of beating Purdue and got a little bit too confident in themselves and ended up just
right. And I think going back to that FDU team, I mean, that's a team that was able to beat Purdue because their guards shot absolutely awful. That's a Purdue team that shot it at 34% all year. If they just come in and shoot their percentage, they win that game. So, and FDU's game plan was phenomenal. I'll give them credit there, but I think it just really showed that they
shout
weren't
out
that great of a
Dimitri
team against
Roberts,
FAU.
5'8" point guard that just like went off. He went off in that first 4 game, and he played really good against Purdue too. He even played good against FAU. He had 20. So
Speaking of 5'8" point guards, we got another one coming up, but yeah, I don't think FDU was going to push FAU that much. I thought that was not going to be a particularly close game. It was not, but FAU didn't do too much to impress me. I'm going to ride Tennessee here to the Sweet 16, but I don't know. I mean, Tennessee's been iffy this year too. I don't know. I still don't want to trust them without Ziegler, but I think to me they proved enough against Duke that they're still a good enough team where they can win at least one more
If they
game.
play the way they did defensively against Duke and just still score over 60, I see them beating FAU. But if they play the way that they played against Louisiana, it's going to be a different story. So, I mean, they still played both great defensively in both games, but I don't know because FAU is going to get their points at certain moments in this game. But it's also like I was listening to something earlier, and it's like it's really how these games are officiated in the Sweet 16 compared to the Run of 2 and 64. Like the referees would let teams like Tennessee and Michigan State play the games out with their physicality and everything, and that can completely change with a different set of officials. So who knows?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the team
my
I
pick
to win this little quadrant is knocked out already.
You pick Duke?
Shame.
Yeah, same here.
No.
Kentucky?
No.
Marquette?
No.
Providence?
No.
You picked Purdue?
Who?
Oral Roberts.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay.
I had Oral Roberts beating Purdue in the Sweet 16.
I think I had
Dude, I thought for sure that John Schreier, whoever, I thought for sure he was busting first round. I was like, Max A. Smith is about to like go crazy.
Yeah,
but
that did
bro
not.
literally put up.
Bro,
what,
they
like 10
literally
points?
didn't score
No,
for the first 7 minutes. I remember
Max A.
watching.
Smith put up
I
12
turned that
points.
game. I turned that game off after like freaking 5 minutes left in the first half. That was just awful. But
Oral Roberts, what
Yeah.
happened?
Speaking of teams that what happened to, obviously Michigan State got that Marquette win, which was the most viewed game on over the weekend,
Tyler
which is
Kolek is so good.
He literally, I think he had his worst game.
I don't understand why the announcers were like loving that dude. Like
they were
Tyler
making me
Kolek
so
because
mad.
he's sneaky athletic. That's why.
He had like 4 points halfway through the second half, and they're like, and this is the Big East Player of the Year. This is Marquette's best guy. I'm
and
like,
he
dude,
didn't
shut up. They're
didn't-
down
Swings it
10.
out.
Bro,
To the Big East
Cam
Player of
Robinson.
the Year.
Okay, Cam Robinson's the best player on that Marquette team, if I'm being honest.
Well, Kolek didn't even like play. He was in foul trouble the whole game.
Well, he didn't even play good though, when even like he was in, to be honest. So
Don't
When
matter.
he was in, he didn't score.
Even if Marquette wins, they still would have lost to Jerome Tang and the Kansas State Wildcats.
yeah, so
I
let's talk about this
I wish I
matchup.
could adjust my bracket because they would be in the national championship, but I do have them in my Final Four, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, I picked originally. I did pick Kansas State into my Final Four. So when I originally did this bracket about a week ago, I think I finalized it. I had Kansas State beating Michigan State in this exact game here.
Do you
So-
have
So
it
I do.
now? Do you have it now though?
Boone, if I were with you right now, I'd dab you up and say, let's go, because we agreed.
That was the pick I had. If I
Well,
were
you have to
remaking
stand
it
by
right
it.
now, I would not keep that.
No, Boone. Trust your gut.
Like I said, this one's really going to be decided how it's officiated. Like it's just not like
No,
Michigan
it
State.
won't. Jerome
No.
Tang is about to drag his...
Now I
Dark
will
nuts
say,
all
who the
across
fuck is
Continental
Michigan State going to put on Keontae Johnson?
Nobody.
that is-
I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be okay for two reasons. The first
Nah, Joey
of
Hauser
is-
and Keontae Johnson is going to be a money matchup for real.
Well, and when Joey Hauser's on someone else, it's going to be Malik Hall too, and I think Malik Hall is going to be able to
Okay,
cover him a little
If
bit.
Hall
But
is on Keontae Johnson, that's a problem.
you'd rather have Joey Hauser on him?
Definitely. Hauser's
I mean,
so much bigger.
The way the way the Spartans
But
play,
I
they
don't know.
switch it. They switch a ton anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. But
Yeah.
in the way Sissoko's been playing on the interior, it's been and
He's
shout out
low.
Carson Cooper
Yeah,
too,
they've been low. The
because
bigs, I mean, I've been shitting on them all year and like even shitting on
they've
them on
been
this
horrible.
podcast, but they've low key been nice this year.
This not this year. I think it's been very well received. Some of the criticism sometimes. I
Or
mean,
not
Jackson
this year.
Kohler still looks
I
like a
meant like
lost
this
dog
year.
out there.
I meant like this
But
year in the tournament. That's what I meant.
yes, these two playoff games, Sissoko. I mean, Sissoko probably not the reason we won that game, but a large part of the reason he was unreal down the stretch.
Right, and I mean,
And
he just gave solid minutes throughout the game too. Like I don't even remember him being in too much, but like when he was out there, like he was definitely way more noticeable than like every other game that Michigan State played this year.
right, and the way the Spartans play, they shoot a ton, and their guards are so good that you don't need ridiculous minutes in the centers to come out and drop 25
Michigan,
points.
okay, I this is straight off Jeff Goodman, but Michigan State needs to shoot. Michigan State's going to shoot over 50% one of the tournament games before they get eliminated or they win the national championship, and they haven't done that yet. They shot absolutely shit against Marquette too for 16,
Horrible.
and they didn't shoot that well against USC. So I think this is the game, especially getting a lot of days to prepare. They're probably just in shoot arounds a lot. And I mean, they're just gonna have to learn. I mean, Marquise Noel, low key, I'm worried about, but like I think our guards have been so good defensively too, and been way more physical than any point this year. So I don't know. Michigan State's look probably the best it has all season, and I mean, but so does Kansas State too, to be honest. So it's gonna be a really good game.
Burn.
Yeah. What?
What do you say we put a little friendly wager on the line of this one?
All right, what do you want to put?
They're over 21 for any feds listening to it.
We can decide this off the camera, but
Put money on it.
that's not friendly then. I'm
Okay.
saying like man-to-man friendly wager.
Oh, okay. And then there's no gambling involved. Never mind.
No. We're not like that. We're legal.
Yeah. Anyways.
All right,
Everything me and Berner have ever done has totally been under the law. Moving along, Houston and Miami. Unfortunately, it's not
Wait, hold
Indiana
on, hold
here.
on. Let me give my closing thoughts on Michigan State real quick.
God
I-
bless it.
I just believe the way they handled Marquette. I think if Michigan State would have came out and shot 8 for 16 from 3 and beat Marquette by that score, I probably would have stuck with my Kansas State pick. But the way they were able to beat Marquette and shoot absolutely horrific, I just think with another week of practice, it's not going to happen again, and they're going to come out much sharper. And I think if they shoot their percentage from 3, which they're going to, and keep that same defensive intensity, I honestly do not see the Spartans losing until the Final Four.
I would agree.
Thank you for your thoughts. Nobody cares because Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson are going to throw lobs over Madi Sissoko's head all day. Moving along, Houston and Miami. Unfortunately, it's not Indiana here because Trace Jackson Davis is, I would love to see in the Sweet 16 again because he's a freak athlete. But he's out, unfortunately, because
Isaiah Wong all the way to the natty. Just saying.
Yeah, that dude actually was cracked. He was like,
I have Miami in my national. Still have Miami in my national championship. No joke. I'm very high on this team. I don't know why, but their guards are awesome, and they do like everything. I swear they don't have a style.
Fellas, what do we think? Do the Hurricanes keep hurricaning, or do the Houston Cougars win?
See, if we took the three or the first 60 minutes of this tournament from Houston, I would say Miami could easily beat this team, but in that second half against Auburn, man, Houston did a lot of things that they didn't do for the previous 60 minutes, defending, scoring at will, basically. And, I mean, I know Auburn's, like, not the greatest team, but, you know, I had Iowa beating Auburn. That's how high I thought of Auburn, and Auburn doesn't have those typical pros on their team or anyone, you know, going to the next level that you really look at. And I don't know. I'm going to roll Miami here because that's the pick I already have, and I think Isaiah Wong is one of the best guards in the country. He's definitely better than Tyler Kolek because he's still here, and Tyler Kolek is not. So, yeah, I'm rolling Miami.
That's very hot because Calvin Sampson is a legend.
Right, but I'm sticking with my original pick, and Miami dominated Indiana, and that's something that, like, I did not expect to see whatsoever.
Yeah, shout out rest of the Big Ten. Somehow Michigan State's the last Big Ten team standing. If I would have told you that going into the tournament, I do not think anybody would have believed that. But
Bullshit.
Michigan State's the only one still standing. Before the tournament, I told you Michigan State was the only Big Ten team to make the Sweet
Oh, okay,
16. You
okay.
would not have believed it.
No, okay. You said if you would have told me they were the last one standing, that I would have said
Okay.
I would have I wouldn't have called you crazy. If you would have said they're the only team in the Sweet 16, yeah, I would have said get out of here, you're crazy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten, I think they have a problem, and I'll give some credit to Michigan here too. The state of Michigan is the only reason the Big Ten has had any relevancy in this tournament in the last 5 years. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy. And Indiana's exit, I don't think
Wisconsin used to be good, though, back in like the mid 2010s though. So.
Yeah, maybe Wisconsin too. So maybe you could say Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin. But other than that, who was the last Big Ten team to make the Big Ten or make the Elite Eight?
Not
Michigan.
Those 3 teams.
Not those 3 teams. Who was the last Big Ten team to make the Elite Eight?
Let's go. I'll look up Final Four history while you guys, because I've already given my thoughts on the Houston.
Was that Purdue team that lost to the?
I'm gonna guess it was an Iowa team. Fran McCaffrey had some good teams.
Purdue that lost to Virginia. Was that a Sweet 16 or an Elite Eight game?
Oh yeah, with that little mixed black point guard or whatever.
I'm thinking Carson Edwards. When it was what's his face's freshman year.
He was actually nutty.
The Virginia point guard.
Keke Clark.
It was his freshman year. So that was 2019.
Yeah, those two actually went crazy against each other.
2020.
I'm thinking that was an Elite Eight. I'm thinking that was an Elite Eight game, and that was the last time someone not named Michigan State.
I'm trying to look up the last time a team outside of Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan's made it to the Final Four. Which
all right, Bern.
I think it's
like
been
we said.
Ohio State 2012 is the last time a Big Ten team outside of those 3 teams made a Final Four.
That sounds about right. The conference has been,
which they must have had. Oh, that's when they had Evan Turner.
Irrelevant.
Me and you talked before this. The Big Ten sets themselves up for failure with their physical sense of play in the regular season,
and the officials don't help them either.
Nope.
And I don't know.
A lot of it. Okay,
many times.
A lot of it's the bigs being physical in the Big Ten, and obviously other officials are going to call it different because they haven't had to call that all this season. It's a lot more perimeter players being physical on other teams, and the Big Ten really doesn't do that a whole lot.
Yeah, and I was going somewhere with that thought. I don't know. But, yeah, I think the Big Ten's they just kind of are the way they are. Big play works a lot. And that's what I was going to say. As many times as the announcers were drooling about Tyler Kolek, I swear they talked about how guard play wins in March, and that's why Michigan State's still standing. And I think it's true because other teams, if you give them a week to game plan and they realize that your only good player is your center, cough, cough, Purdue, they're going to be able to hone in on that and take advantage. And I think that's why the Spartans are the last team standing. They have 4 or 5 guys in their lineup at a time that can beat you, and I just don't think any other team in the Big Ten was built like that this year.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would say that you're right with that, but I think part of it of why Indiana's not here right now is because they just ran into a buzzsaw. That Wong dude could not miss.
Wong's
Miami played a phenomenal game.
Miami's a good team, and that's why they're going to beat Houston and make it to the
I don't
national
even know if it was
championship.
Miami. Like that Wong dude just went crazy.
Their guards have been good all season. I mean, they had a player that was hurt. I don't know if he's
I almost
back
think
now,
it was partially like IU not playing that well. Like not playing well, but like just it wasn't their night. Like 69 points isn't like a normal scoring night for them. And like Trace Jackson Davis played fine, but like he didn't go crazy like he could have. Like 23, 8, and I don't even know how many assists he had.
I mean, if he's putting up those numbers and this team's only scoring 69 when he's producing at a decent enough
elite level.
Yeah, like.
Well, I mean, you had a combined 0 points off the bench for Indiana. That could be part of the problem.
Yeah, that was wild too. How did that happen?
And Hood Schifino took 22 shots. Trace Jackson Davis took 10. So maybe it was the look. I'm not gonna lie, I did not watch most of this game,
I
but
I watched the
maybe it
I
was the
highlights
watched the
of
look.
it.
second half.
I watched the highlights of it.
Maybe it's the looks and Miami just trying to limit Trace Jackson Davis. I mean, I know Norchard O'Meara had a fantastic game, 17 rebounds. I remember reading all about him on Twitter about how amazing he was playing. So maybe
He
he did
did play
limit Trace
well.
Jackson Davis, but I can't imagine Jalen Hood-Schifino shooting 22 shots was the game plan going into that.
Yeah, well, originally I had Indiana winning this because I thought Trace Jackson Davis was going to be playing really well at this time. But now I'm going to take Houston. I think the Wong dude won't be able to stay as hot as he was.
I mean, they got fucking Sasser, Sheen, all those guys.
And I think Kelvin Sampson's a really
They're
good coach.
big too.
Give him a week to Jawan Roberts.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
Give Kelvin Sampson a week to prepare for this team, and I think Houston will have themselves.
Jarice Walker. That's the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, not too much to say. I just think that Houston's better. So Houston over Miami.
No, you guys are. When I will be texting the group chat up if Miami gets that dub.
I kind of hope they do. Honestly, I feel like Houston just is allergic to the Final Four. They have good teams every year and just don't get there. So
they made it. They made it when Baylor, Gonzaga, and fucking what's their face? Well, I forget.
UCLA. That's right. Yeah. They did.
And they made. They made it to the Elite Eight last year too, and lost to Villanova. That's
what I'm saying. They're always right here. I swear. They just never push through. But this is definitely their team to do it, in my opinion.
All right.
Second best team.
Let's move on to the other Sweet 16 matchup. We got Xavier versus Texas. This one's interesting. I don't know. I think
Texas by 1,000.
I mean, Texas fucking shot 1 for 13, but I mean,
my natty champ is
Jabari Rice, Timmy Allen, Marcus Carr. Give me the Longhorns. I don't know. Xavier runs a 7-man rotation. They're just gonna get absolutely worked by Texas. So. That's how I look at it. I don't care who Xavier. To be honest, I haven't watched much Xavier this year. I watched their game against Kennesaw State. They looked kind of iffy there. I think the reason why Kennesaw State didn't win that game is because Chris Youngblood fouled out. And I mean, I watched some of their game versus Pitt, and I don't know. Pitt's really wasn't that good of a team to me. It's just they caught Iowa State on a very bad night, and I mean, Pitt did not play good in that game either whatsoever. So, yeah, give me Texas.
Yeah. Xavier's been sneaky. I did not think that they were going to get here. I actually had them losing to Pitt in that second round game. Pitt pushed into the limit. Kunkel's been really good for him. Obviously, Nunji's one of the better bigs in the country, in my opinion.
Nunji's been really good, I will say that.
So I thought this team was going to struggle without Fremantle. That has not happened. Xavier's pushed their way here. I don't want to pick Texas to lose this early, although Penn State did kind of push them a lot. I think with the time to prep, they'll be able to come in fresh. And I don't think the Xavier 7-man rotation is going to hurt them as bad as you'd think on this much rest. I think if they win this one, it definitely will. But, yeah, I'm okay picking Texas here, but not confidently because Xavier's been playing really well.
Ooh, this next matchup's looking pretty interesting to me now. Arkansas versus UConn in the West Region, Sweet 16. Who do we got here?
The 8 seed.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Sagano's been playing Sagano's going to be a pro now. Like, he is so much better than what he was earlier in his college career. I mean, and also, like, Jordan Hawkins playing pretty decent, too, recently. Has been nice. I mean, they've been...
Wait. When we talk about UConn, that guy you're calling Sagano, are you talking about that Adama Sanogo guy?
Sanogo, Sagano, same thing.
Oh, I was wondering, like, who the hell is this Sagano? I've known this guy like the whole year.
Sonogo, whatever. I mean,
I think you're like talking about, like, the restaurant.
The whole thing.
I was so confused.
No, the thing with UConn is I watched both their games pretty closely, and I mean they're really really tight going into halftime, and they just come out in that second half, and they're just a completely different team. It is just crazy to watch. Sonogo is just like putting it on the floor. He hit a 3 against St. Mary's too. I thought St. Mary's had a really good game against VCU and kind of controlled that game the whole entire time. And I mean, even in the first half of this UConn game, they got buckets their way.
It was actually a good game to watch, that UConn St. Mary's one.
Yeah, and then UConn, I mean, they were the more athletic team, and had better talent than St. Mary's, and that's why they pulled away. I mean, this Arkansas team's got really good talent, and I will say their game against Kansas did impress me. So I don't know. Arkansas, I could see people's point of view picking Arkansas. Obviously, they got Walsh and then Anthony Black, who's been playing pretty decent too. So I don't know.
It's not fair that Kansas isn't here.
I don't really care.
It definitely is fair that Kansas is
Kansas.
not here.
No, it's not, because Bill Self was in the hospital. It's sad.
Okay, but let's be honest,
but
nobody's
DeJuan
wanted
Harris
Kansas to
played
be here,
awful. Awful.
Okay, but can we just take a second to realize that our Kansas beat Kansas?
Yeah, no, I was like, I was waiting for like the broadcast team to say something about that. I'm like, the battle of the Kansases, but
Kansas has Kansas. It's
Kansas.
It's got to be
Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, I don't really have much of an opinion, so I'm just going to take UConn because their logo is much more fierce. But this next game, I do want to talk about. I would like to start it off.
Okay, all right. Oh, Bern, what's your pick between Arkansas and UConn before we?
UConn. I had them in my national championship. I'll stick with it.
That's cap. But moving along.
Last matchup.
Gonzaga and UCLA. I think this one could be freaking phenomenal because Drew Timmy's a dog still, even though he's like 30. And I think this UCLA team
does he have any? Okay, before we continue, does he have any remaining eligibility? Because I saw Armando Bacot.
Yeah, he could come back next year. I'm pretty sure
is coming. I see that Armando Bacot's coming back next year for North Carolina. I forget. I remember when he was projected to be like in drafts on like 2K and stuff, and now he's like playing his 5th year in college.
I don't know, but Drew Timmy's only in his 4th year of college.
Yeah, but he's been dominant. He's been dominant for the last 2 years.
Correct, but I mean, I don't know why you were calling him 30. It's not like he's Brad Davidson rolling around here.
No, but it just seems like he's old because he's been good for so long.
Yeah, okay, so he's in his 4th year. He technically has one because of the COVID year, so he could come back.
He's just been a veteran. He's been like a really he plays like such a veteran with like how his footwork is playing out of the post.
And how he carries himself.
Yeah.
But
he's really mature. He's really mature.
I think this game could be one of the best games. I think the best game will probably be Kansas State, Michigan State. And then I think this one probably could be the second best game of the whole thing. Gonzaga, I feel like, hasn't, like, they've been successful, don't get me wrong, because they won the Natty, 2 or 3 years ago, right? Yeah. But I feel like this year is kind of like they're like a hidden gem because most people haven't really been hyping them up. They were a little underwhelming in the regular season, losing a couple of games in their conference play. But I don't know. I just think with the Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell and their big UCLA has, I can't remember his name.
I will say
Jaquez. No,
they have a big
Bona.
It is Isn't it Nwuba?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's him.
Nwuba comes off the bench.
Yeah, he's averaging 1.3 points on the season.
That's literally the most random player you could have picked off.
Yeah, if you're gonna talk about anyone, it's
no. Who's the center? Who's their center? That's like
Adem
really
Bona.
Good.
Adem Bona.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who it is. Yeah, he's good. He played really well against whoever their
Northwestern.
I thought, yeah. But, I think this game could be really good. I don't even know who I really want to pick. Like, I feel like Drew Timme, if he plays as good as he did against their last game, TCU, when he went crazy, he had like 28 points or something.
TCU is a really good team too.
What do you even have? Yeah, 28 points. I was right. But I don't even know. Like, I feel like either team, the winner of this could go like to the Final Four or to Natty. I feel like.
See, I look at this as Amari Bailey's big game to be put on the spotlight because Jaquez and Tiger Campbell are obviously going to get Gonzaga's best looks, and Amari Bailey's been solid throughout the tournament, but I think this is like breakthrough game, and that's how I look at it.
That's a good take. Like somebody, whether it's Gonzaga or UCLA,
right?
I
mean, Bolton, Strother, Watson, Timme have been awesome for Gonzaga this year, but I look at Amari Bailey. I watched him in high school, obviously. If Drake's there, then maybe it's a little bit different because he's going to see him with his mom and he's going to probably like just turn ice cold. But nah, I think this is Amari Bailey's big game, and I'm rolling with UCLA.
I've been kind of waiting for that Jalen Clark injury to come in and kick him. I'm not gonna lie, I picked UNC Asheville to beat UCLA.
Okay, well they beat them by fucking 33. So
Yeah,
I called you an idiot
that-
for that, Burn.
And I mean,
Fucking
Northwestern
Northwestern,
Northwestern's got two really good guards too, in Audich and Bowie. So, and they didn't handle them, but they won that game like in a
Nor-
really good way.
it was not handled. It was a 5-point game. I was watching that. Me and Lonnie actually were watching that in the car. I honestly thought Northwestern was going to pull it off. They did not. But I think this is going to be the game where the Jalen Clark injury finally comes back to bite them. Gonzaga can just score in so many ways. I don't think they really have anybody to stop Watson and Timmy on the inside. At least not both. And both those guys are really good. And then Strother and Bolton both from the outside. I feel like if Jalen Clark was here to guard Strother, this might be a little bit different of a story, but I'm going to take Gonzaga here because of that. And that whole under the radar thing, I feel like Gonzaga's only under the radar because people wanted them to be under the radar. I mean, the losses are Purdue, Texas,
St. Mary's.
Baylor, St. Mary's, and I think I'm missing one more. It might have been LMU.
No, they only lost 5 games.
It was 5 games. Yeah, it was a fluke conference game to LMU. So they have
Loyola
4
Marymount,
losses
shout out.
They have 4 losses to top 5 seeds in the tournament, and then one random loss that's by 1, whatever. So,
but still,
I honestly feel
the
like
point
they
I was
should not be
making
this
is like
under the radar.
the point I was making is in previous years they've been hyped up way more going to the tournament. Like
Right.
the year that
Yeah.
they had 1 loss the entire year.
Last year they had Chet, and the year before that they had Jalen Suggs. They don't have a top draft prospect on this team. That's why they're not as hyped up.
Yes,
I
but I
understand,
think
but all
this
I'm
team
saying
might
is,
be
like-
And then
better
before that, they've
built.
had guys like Rui Hachimura.
the
and
national
Corey
spectrum
Kispert.
that Gonzaga has received in the past hasn't been there this year. Like teams like Alabama and Houston, like Kansas State, other teams like have had more of the national spotlight on them than Gonzaga. I feel like.
That's true. I will fairly confidently pick Gonzaga.
But I do agree with you, Bern. I think that Gonzaga has too many
I
weapons.
see your point of view, Burn, so I'm not a crazy lunatic.
I do agree with you. I think
I'm
Gonzaga's
totally
gonna
okay going. I'm totally okay going Gonzaga here.
All
I will
right.
take the Zags.
Is that everyone's final thoughts?
win. Yeah,
I believe so.
All right, that's going to conclude the podcast. See you guys.
See you, fellas.
We'll be here for national
Thank you.
championship talk because we're all going on spring break. So.